The year was 1943. Across the skies of Europe and the Pacific, a strange new sound echoed, the deep roar of twin engines and the slicing hiss of air over metal. It was the Lockheed P-38 Lightning, one of the most advanced fighters America had ever built. It looked like nothing else in the sky, twin booms, a central cockpit, and a shape that seemed more like a machine from the future than the present. To the pilots who flew it, the P-38 was both a dream and a nightmare. It was fast, heavily armed, and could climb higher than most of its rivals. But at certain speeds it turned deadly, not to the enemy, but to its own men. At high altitudes and in steep dives, the controls would suddenly lock. The nose would drop. And no matter how hard a pilot pulled, the aircraft refused to respond. The only escape was luck, or death. No one understood why it happened. Some blamed the engines, others the wing design. The Army demanded answers, and Lockheed's engineers searched desperately for a cause. But the truth lay in an invisible world, the mysterious boundary between normal flight and the edge of the sound barrier. Back then, compressibility was a word few had even heard. It described what happened when an airplane approached the speed of sound. Air, once smooth and obedient, began to behave like a solid wall. Pressure built around the wings. Shock waves formed. Control surfaces that once moved easily became frozen in place. For the P-38, that wall of air was fatal. Pilots called it the coffin corner. The faster they dove, the stiffer the plane became. The faster they fell, the less control they had. Many never came back. In 1943, the U.S. Army Air Forces nearly grounded the entire fleet. The Lightning was too dangerous, they said. A marvel in theory, a death trap in practice. And that's when one man stepped forward, not a soldier or a general, but a civilian engineer named Clarence Kelly Johnson. Johnson had already built a reputation as a prodigy at Lockheed. Clarence Kelly Johnson. Johnson had already built a reputation as a prodigy at Lockheed, sharp, stubborn, and fearless. He believed the P-38's flaw could be fixed, even when others had given up. He had no computers, no wind tunnels capable of supersonic testing, only equations, blueprints, and instinct. But he also had something else, an idea that seemed impossible. Johnson theorized that when the P-38 entered a high-speed dive, the center of pressure on its wings shifted backward, forcing the nose down even more. The faster it went, the worse it got, until the pilot could no longer pull out. The only solution, he believed, was to change the airflow itself, to add a small control surface that would alter the pressure just enough to lift the nose. It was a radical thought. Tiny flaps on the underside of the wings, used not for takeoff or landing, but to recover from a deadly dive. No one had tried it before. Most engineers thought it was madness. But Johnson convinced Lockheed to build a prototype. A single P-38 was modified with what he called dive recovery flaps. If they worked, they could save the aircraft, and the pilots who flew it. If not, another test pilot might die. The day of the test arrived under a clear California sky. Test pilot Tony Levier climbed into the cockpit, knowing what had happened to others before him. He took off, climbed high, and pointed the nose down. The airspeed climbed. 400 miles per hour. 500. 600. The stick grew heavy. Then, at the edge of control, he flipped the new switch. The nose lifted. The controls came back. The Lightning leveled out. For the first time, a P-38 had survived a full-speed dive, and pulled out safely. The impossible trick had worked. That simple invention, created by a civilian with a pencil and a hunch, changed everything. Johnson's dive recovery flaps transformed the P-38 from a problem into a legend. Now pilots could use its power to their advantage, diving faster than enemy planes dared to.